Welcome back to the deep dive. We are digging into, a true classic of personal finance today. It's a book many of us probably read way too early, maybe dismissed it even. The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh, absolutely. It's an extraordinary text, really, written back in 1926, so nearly 100 years ago now.
Well, yeah.
And it's set in, the ancient world, but it lays out this financial roadmap that's so clear, so simple, that kind of ironically, people often just overlook how powerful it is. They think, well, surely the secret path to wealth can't just be this basic.
I know exactly what you mean, and that's kind of our mission today, isn't it? To cut through that initial feeling.
Yeah.
We've synthesized the sources, pulled out the 10 most powerful, really essential money lessons.
All drawn from that story of Arkad, the richest man in Babylon, and his mentor, Algamesh.
Exactly. So think of this as maybe your accelerated path to understanding why this book has stuck around for, 97 years.
Yeah, it's timeless wisdom.
Right.
And we really need to start with the mindset, I think, that foundational shift Arkad had to make. Because wealth isn't just spreadsheets and numbers, right? It's about a whole change in approach.
Okay, so lesson one. This feels like the most fundamental. Don't be shy about seeking wealth.
Yes. Arkad was, well, completely unapologetic about wanting more. He just recognized that wealth increases the potency, he called it, of all the good things in life.
Potency. I like that.
Yeah, and he wasn't talking about just piling up gold coins for the sake of it. He wanted the capability, to live a rich life.
And he gave some great examples, didn't he? Like ornamenting his home with rich furnishings.
Right. Traveling, sailing distant seas.
Feasting on delicacies from faraway lands, like an ancient way of saying, look, I have desires for my life, for my family, and money is the tool, the means, to fulfill them.
And what's crucial here, I think, is that this desire has to be active, not passive. Wealth doesn't just magically appear, in the laps of people who are just wishful thinkers. We have to actively commit to building it. It plays such an undeniable role in helping us navigate the world and, well, achieve those desires.
So if you're not actively seeking it.
You probably won't find it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Okay, so if you are going to actively pursue wealth, you obviously need the skills to acquire it, which leads us kind of naturally to lesson two. Be serious about investing in yourself.
Yeah, the book's premise here is that the more wisdom you know, the more you may earn.
It's like compounding, but for your brain.
Exactly. Look at modern examples. We hear about Warren Buffett spending, like 80% of his working day just reading and thinking.
Right. And Charlie Munger jokes his kids think he's just a book with a couple legs sticking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Elon Musk, learning the principles of rocket science mostly by, reading books.
That's incredible. And it was the same for Arkad, right? He didn't start out rich. He was a scribe.
Just a scribe. And he realized pretty quickly that the scribes who could produce tablets faster, more accurately, they got paid more.
So he made himself more valuable.
Exactly. He became diligent. He actively sought out and learned better writing techniques, better organizational skills from others. He invested his time in improving his own output.
And that directly translated
Immediately into higher earning power. The lesson is really simple. If you want more treasure, you have to cultivate the skills to attract more treasure. Invest in yourself first.
Now, this is where, the rubber meets the road. You can gain all the wisdom, all the skill in the world, but if you just sit on it.
Useless. Totally useless.
Which brings us to lesson three. Act on the knowledge you gain.
This point is driven home so powerfully by that story of Arkad meeting Algamesh, the wealthy businessman. Arkad was just this humble, completely exhausted scribe.
Right.
And he agreed to this incredibly demanding, almost cruel request. Algamesh needed a crucial law carved onto 2 massive clay tablets.
In less than 24 hours.
Yeah. And this wasn't just like taking dictation. Carving clay is hard physical work, especially under that kind of deadline pressure.
I can only imagine. Watering eyes, headache, back killing him. But he worked through the night.
He did. He accepted that immense pressure, that struggle, just for the chance to receive the secret principle of wealth from Algamesh.
And that secret was basically his reward for the action.
Absolutely. Think about it. Most people faced with that level of intense, immediate difficulty, I say, I'll do it tomorrow, or it's just too hard, or, I need to analyze this more.
Analysis paralysis. We still call it that today.
Exactly. The common trait among the successful isn't always being the smartest or having the perfect plan. It's their orientation towards action. They learn, and then they do.
It's so relevant. We consume endless books, podcasts, courses. That's lesson 2, but then we stop short of the hard part, the implementation. Lesson 3.
Mm-hmm.
Arkad showed that enduring exhaustion for 24 hours to get that foundational knowledge was worth way more than years of just sitting around wishing he was wealthy.
Absolutely. The moment he proved his commitment through action, that's when Algamesh gave him the key.
Okay, so we've got the mental commitment, the self-investment, the discipline of action. Now, how do we actually, operationalize this? That brings us into the strategic lessons.
Right.
And lesson 4 hits hard at a mistake, gosh, nearly everyone makes at some point. Counsel with wise men.
Or, maybe put differently, stop taking financial advice from people whose own financial lives you wouldn't want.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it.
Arkad learned this the hard way. The most painful way, really.
He managed to follow that fundamental rule we'll get to at saving 10% of his income, but his first investment, total disaster.
Yeah, he gave all his savings to a brickmas, a guy named Azor, who was traveling overseas.
Why?
So Azor could buy rare jewels of the Phoenicians. Sounds exotic, right?
It does, but a brickmas buying rare jewels.
Exactly. Algamesh saw the failure immediately. It was doomed. Why? Because neither Arkad, the scribe, nor Azor, the brickmas, knew the first thing about jewels, or the Phoenician market, or shipping, or anything. Algamesh's quote on this is just perfect. He who takes advice about his saving from one who is inexperienced shall pay with high savings for proving the falsity of their opinions. You pay for bad advice with your own money.
That is sharp. And it's so tough today, isn't it? Everyone's a finfluencer or some kind of self-proclaimed expert online. How do you even navigate that? Find real wise counsel?
Well, the book is pretty clear. Seek advice only from those whose daily work is handling and managing money. And, crucially, who have proven success in that specific area.
So not your well-meaning cousin.
Definitely not your well-meaning cousin, and certainly not the brickmas who knows nothing about jewels. Look for credentials, yes, but maybe more importantly, look for a proven track record, real experience.
Okay, so wise counsel helps prevent disaster. But the next lesson, lesson 5, that's about accelerating growth. Make money work for you.
Yes, this is where we get that fantastic analogy. Wealth is like a tree. The first copper you save, that's the seed. You have to nourish it, water it with consistent savings, let it grow. But the fundamental shift, the real aha moment, is recognizing that the tree has to bear fruit.
Fruit you can reinvest.
Precisely. Fruit that plants more trees or makes the original tree bigger and stronger.
And this really highlights that massive difference between just saving and actually investing. That's the core modern application, isn't it?
Huge difference. If you only save, say, $10,000 a year for 30 years, okay, you'll have $300,000.
Which sounds like a lot.
It sounds okay, but here's the kicker. Inflation over those 30 years will have eaten away a huge chunk of that money's actual purchasing power.
Okay, so what's the alternative? Investing.
Right. If you invest that same $10,000 a year for 30 years, and let's say you get an average historical return, maybe 8%.
Which is pretty standard for long-term market averages.
Yeah. You end up with over $1.1 million.
Wow. Okay, that's a massive difference. 300K to over 1.1 million.
It's nearly $1 million difference. And what's fascinating is you didn't earn most of that extra money directly. Your money earned more money.
That's why the book calls your treasure your slave.
Exactly. It works harder than you ever could. It doesn't take holidays, doesn't get sick.
And crucially, once that first copper piece earns another copper piece, that new copper can immediately start earning for you too.
That's the reinvestment. That's hiring more slaves, as the book puts it. That compounding effect is the engine lifting that $300,000 to $1.1 million.
So for us today, that means consistently investing in broad, low-cost index funds, maybe?
That's generally the safest, most diversified way. Most people, yeah. Lending your gold to reliable businesses and letting it grow, making your treasure work.
But, okay, to even get to that point, to have money to invest, you need the seed money in the first place.
You need the seed.
Which brings us right back to lesson 6, the absolute foundation of this whole thing. Pay yourself first.
This was the very first lesson Algamesh taught Arkad. His exact words were, "A part of all I earn is mine to keep."
Mine to keep.
And he stressed this part should not be less than 1/10, 10%.
Okay, 10%. That sounds great in theory, but what if someone listening is already buried in debt or just living paycheck to paycheck? How does committing to 10% not feel completely overwhelming? Does the book give any wiggle room?
Well, the book is pretty firm on the 10%, but I think the underlying principle is behavioral. It's about prioritizing yourself before anyone else gets a cut, bills, rent, whatever.
Okay.
If 10% feels truly impossible right now, maybe start with 1%, just 1%, and commit to increasing it as soon as you possibly can. The critical part is making the saving non-negotiable, automatic.
Treat it like a tax you owe yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
Like a mandatory expense that happens the moment you get paid
Yeah.
before anything else.
So that commitment to saving, that has to come before you start chasing the latest sexy investment or crypto coin.
Oh, absolutely. You have to build the capital first.
Yeah.
That 10% commitment or whatever you start with, that's the anchor. It makes the entire rest of the plan possible.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Part 3 deals more with prudence, self-control, protection. Lesson 7 tackles maybe the biggest enemy of that 10% rule we just talked about. Understand real necessary expenses.
Uh-huh. This is where the ancient wisdom feels incredibly modern, almost psychologically astute. Arkad gathered his students, right? And they all complained.
But Arkad, all the coins we earn are needed for expenses we can't possibly save.
Yep, the classic excuse. And Arkad's response is it defines financial psychology. He said, necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary.
That's lifestyle creep, defined almost a century ago. It's amazing.
It's so powerful because we are absolute masters at confusing needs with desires. You get a raise.
And suddenly you need a slightly bigger apartment or a nicer car or more streaming subscriptions.
Exactly. Your necessary expenses just inflate instantly to match your new income. And you're right back where you started, financially speaking. Still no surplus.
We see this everywhere. The sources mention that funny example of a speaker telling his wife he needs a new GoPro for his YouTube channel.
Right, maybe for, diving off a cliff or surfing with sharks.
Despite the fact he only ever films himself sitting at a computer.
Huh. Yes. That's the modern version of Arkad's friends feeling like they needed every coin. It's gadget bloat, subscription bloat, eating out bloat.
So how do you stop it? How do you protest to the contrary?
You have to actively draw a line. Define your actual needs, shelter, food, basic clothes, transport, and then consciously decide that the rest of your money serves your future self, that 10% savings, before it serves your current desires or whims. You have to be intentional.
That prudence, that self-control, it extends directly into Lesson 8, which is a crucial warning. Avoid risky investments.
Yes. The principle laid out is crystal clear. Gold slipped away from the man who invested in business or purposes with which he is not familiar.
Stick to what you know.
Pretty much. And Arkad uses the story of his own son to hammer this home.
Right, he gave his son some gold and the 5 laws of gold, basically the rule book, and told him to come back in 10 years.
10 years later, the son returns, having lost everything, every last piece of gold.
Whoa!
He got deceived by, book calls them crooks, looking for a naive victim. Specifically, he lost the money gambling on a horse race in Nineveh.
A horse race. Did he know anything about horses or gambling?
Absolutely nothing. That's the point. Despite having the 5 laws, the rules, he invested or gambled really in something he was completely unfamiliar with. He was driven by greed, the desire for a quick, easy win. And that just blinds people to the fundamental risk.
It sounds exactly like someone today hearing about a hot stock tip on, I don't know, Reddit or something.
Yeah.
And dumping their savings into it without understanding the company, the industry, the financials, and then watching it just evaporate.
It's the same naive hope. The same psychology that made the son lose his gold in ancient Nineveh makes modern investors lose money in volatile, unfamiliar schemes or assets today.
Our sources mention a modern parallel too, right? Someone getting convinced to spend thousands on some expensive, maybe dubious fitness program after watching a documentary.
Yeah, like pumping iron or something.
Yeah.
Investing heavily in something you know nothing about because you were promised these immediate, probably unrealistic returns.
If it sounds too good to be true.
It almost certainly is.
Yeah.
It's designed to attract the ignorant, the hopeful, but uninformed. Stick to what you understand or take the time to really understand it before risking your capital. Counsel with wise men, remember.
It all ties together. Okay, finally, we get to the defense strategy. Lesson 9, buy protection.
This is so critical because all the saving, all the smart investing in the world, it can be wiped out by one single catastrophic event if you're not prepared.
And the Babylonian anecdote for this is great, the story of the warrior Banzar.
Yeah, Banzar was defending the city of Babylon from this attacking Syrian army. The main Babylonian army was actually away fighting somewhere else.
So the city was vulnerable?
It seemed like it. But Banzar relied on the city's mighty strong walls, walls that had been built 100 years earlier.
Wow.
And those walls held. The Syrians couldn't breach them, and eventually they just retreated. The walls protected the city and all the wealth inside it.
So the application for us today is, what are our walls?
Are impregnable walls, as the book might suggest. In modern terms, that's primarily a fully funded emergency fund. Enough cash set aside so that a job loss or a big unexpected bill doesn't completely derail your investment plan or force you into debt.
Okay, emergency fund. What else?
Solid insurance, good health insurance is vital.
Hmm.
Auto insurance, life insurance if you have dependents, homeowners or renters insurance. These are the modern walls protecting your financial foundation.
And that connects right back to lesson 5, making money work for you. If your wealth is that growing tree.
Exactly. Protection ensures that a sudden financial shock, a major illness, a car accident, doesn't rip that tree right out of the ground. It stops you from having to sell off your investments at the worst possible time or halt your saving habit.
It stabilizes everything, lets the compounding keep working its magic.
That's the deep connection. You see how all these lessons really are interdependent. They build on each other.
They really do. Which brings us to our 10th and final lesson. And this one feels like it provides the necessary, maybe philosophical context for everything else we've discussed. Remember what is most important: your life.
Yes. Saving, investing, being financially responsible, they're tools. They're magnificent, powerful tools, absolutely. But they should never become the end goal. They shouldn't become the whole center of our lives.
Because if the pursuit of gold just makes you miserable.
You've completely missed the point. Life is good. It's rich with things that are worthwhile, things to enjoy now. The wealth is simply meant to enable more of that richness, more of that enjoyment, more security, not to replace it.
So these 10 lessons, rooted way back in ancient Babylon, they offer this remarkably clear, actionable, and, as you said, psychologically grounded roadmap.
Yeah, it's about building that solid foundation, acting with consistency, seeking wisdom, protecting your future.
But without sacrificing your actual life, your present, in the process.
Precisely. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? If we circle back to lesson 1, that wealth increases the potency of good things, and we hold on to that core commitment from lesson 6, paying ourselves that 10% first.
Okay.
Then we have to ask a really specific, maybe provocative question. Beyond just planning for some abstract retirement decades from now, what specific non-monetary good thing in your life right now could be amplified, could be made more potent?
If you actively directed your 10% or even part of it towards that.
Yeah. Is it maybe the self-investment needed for a career change you've been dreaming of?
Or the security required to finally take the leap and start that family business.
Or perhaps it's about providing more deeply, more securely for your family's future well-being.
The power of this ancient wisdom, then, isn't just about creating gold.
No, it's about creating capacity,
No.
creating options. So start thinking about it. What good thing will you empower when you finally commit to paying yourself first?